Bro Wild, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have an idea for an FPV business and I would like your thoughts. It is a custom-built FPV drone store where you tell them your ideal parts list at checkout, no building necessary. Thoughts? So Bro Wild, let me start by saying that there are a million people in the world who have an idea, who never act on the idea, and whose idea then, in some sense, is meaningless, right? What I mean by that is that bad ideas that someone cares enough about to execute have value. Even if the idea doesn't work out, that can be a very valuable. Like they say that what's the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person, and is that the successful person kept failing long enough to actually succeed, right? And so if you have this idea for a business, and you have the money to start the business, and you think you want to start the business, then on some level you should just do it, even if maybe there's reasons why it might not succeed, right? I don't want because I'm now going to list all the reasons why people don't do what you're suggesting. And I don't want you to take that as me saying, this is a terrible idea, you're a bad person for having this idea, and you should just throw this idea in the trash and never act on it. That's not what I'm saying, okay? And, so there is a reason why this kind of thing isn't common. And the reason is that people buying pre-built FPV drones don't want to pay enough money to make what you're proposing profitable for you. Probably. So there's a company called Indestructible Quads. I don't know if they still exist. They did several years ago. Indestructible Quads built quads, hand-built. It was one guy hand-building quads in his apartment. He built very good quads, but he built them and he charged $50. He charged $50 markup over the retail cost of the parts. So what's his profit margin? Well, it's $50 is his profit. If he was able to get parts at less than retail price, so if he's able to go to a manufacturer and say, I'm going to buy 100 of this ESC, 100 of this flight controller, maybe he could get another 8 to 12% perhaps margin, depending on quantity, maybe a little bit more than that. So he's got $50 plus 10 or 15% maybe at most, and that's his margin. That's not very much money. If you think about it, if he builds one quad every 2 hours, he's paying himself approximately $25 or $30 an hour, which is like that's more money than a lot of people make. But you got to take taxes out of that. You got to take all your overhead and expenses out of that. Your actual take home is not great, and that's assuming you get enough business to churn out 4 quads a day, 2 hours a quad. You never miss an appointment. You never have anything screw up. And that's assuming that all those quads get to the customers and they're happy. You're not going to get a return. You're not going to have a mistake. That $30-ish an hour gets whittled away real fast. It's not enough money to build a sustainable business around. And he was building exactly the same quad. He had a store up. The customer clicked, I want this quad. They checked their money out, and he built it, and he sent it to them. So now what you're proposing is you're going to tell me your ideal parts. And I'm going to go, cool. Oh, wait, these two parts don't work well together, and that's actually a really shitty motor. I advise that you don't get it. And this flight controller is out of stock. So now you're going back and forth with the customer, which is eating up your time, which is eating up your profit. Now you have to source the parts. Since you're buying them onesie twosie, because every customer wants something different, you're getting no margin from the manufacturers. You're paying full retail price plus shipping for every single one of those. Now, whether you eat that cost or you pass it on to the customer, that is an additional cost that someone has to bear. Now you have to build the quad. And because every single one is different, you're always building the quad for the first time. The first time I build a quad, it takes me 4 hours. The fifth time I build a quad, it takes me 2 hours because I know exactly where all the wires go. And if you tell me to build you 50 of the same quad, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to build 50 frames. Done. I'm going to put 50 sets of motors on. Done. I'm going to solder up 50 ESCs. Done. And I'm going to get into a groove and it's going to go way faster. You're never going to get that with this business model. Every time you're going to be at your most inefficient, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to look at the reference of the wiring diagrams. And either you are going to charge your customers a price that they are not willing to pay because they're going to go, what are you talking about? I could buy this same quad from Rotor Riot for $50. And you're going to go, okay, well, go then, do it. And they're going to say, fine, I will. Because when it comes down to it, the fact that you'll build me a quad with the exact parts that I want, and I can buy an iFlight or Gep RC or a Rotor Riot bind and fly for $200 less, I don't really care about getting the exact parts that I want if it turns out it costs me $200 more to get it. So that's the problem that you have to be aware of and solve for this idea to be a success. And I wish you the best. It's hypothetical. 50 quads was hypothetical. My point is that the companies who build in bulk, they don't just have one guy sit there and build one quad start to finish. They assembly line it, and you get efficiency from assembly lining.